You are stuck in the rat race and it has to stop right now. I've witnessed firsthand how certain middle-class habits keep people stuck in jobs they don't enjoy just to maintain their lifestyle, while their bigger dreams and ambitions take a back seat. In this video, I'll break down these common habits and show you how to avoid falling into the same traps. 1. Working for less than your worth. One of the most common and damaging habits is accepting less than you deserve at work. I've seen this happen so many times. Employers pay their employees just enough to keep them from quitting. And while it might feel comfortable knowing that paycheck is coming in on the same day every month, this mindset keeps you stuck. I remember a friend of mine, let's call him Jack. Jack worked at his company for 6 years. He was good at his job, but every year his raise was a measly 3 to 4%. That's less than inflation. When Jack finally left for another company, he got a 20% salary increase, just like that. This is typical when you switch companies. You often see a 10 to 20% jump, far more than the loyalty penalty you get by staying in your current job. My advice: know your worth. Network. Understand what other companies are paying for your role, and be ready to leave if necessary. It might feel like starting over, but that extra income can go into investments that will eventually free you from the rat race. 2. Buying more than you can afford. Ever notice how when someone gets a raise or a bonus, the first thing they do is upgrade their lifestyle? That's a classic middle-class habit, and it's a trap. People often upgrade two things: their car and their home. For example, you land your first big job and suddenly you're driving a car that's nicer than your boss's. How? Because you can afford the lease payments, not the car itself. It's structured that way to get you into something more expensive than you can truly afford, and boom, you've locked yourself into years of payments. A better rule of thumb? Spend no more than 15% of your annual income on your car, including the payment, insurance, and maintenance. If you make $60,000 a year, your car expenses should be no more than $9,000 annually. The same principle applies to buying a house. Yes, banks will lend you 4 or 5 times your salary, but just because they can, doesn't mean you should. Keep your mortgage payments under 28% of your gross income. 3. Relying on just one source of income. This one is huge. If the pandemic taught us anything, it's that relying on one income stream, usually your job, is incredibly risky. You're one company layoff away from financial trouble. The middle class tends to fall into this trap because, again, it's comfortable. But comfort won't set you free. During the 2020 pandemic, a colleague of mine was laid off. She had only her day job to rely on, and within a month, her savings were running dry. On the other hand, I had diversified my income with investments, a side business, and some freelance work. Even though my main job was affected, those other streams kept me afloat. Look into side hustles, start an online business, or explore investments like stocks or real estate. You need to have more than one source of income to protect yourself. These are some examples of extra income streams like freelancing, real estate investments, or stock dividends. 4. Neglecting savings for retirement. Imagine this. Every day, you drop $50 out of your pocket and you just let it go. Sounds absurd, right? Well, that's what you're doing if you're not saving for retirement. Every day you don't invest is like losing out on the potential for that money to grow and compound. I get it. Saving for something 30 years from now feels less urgent than paying off this month's credit card bill. But the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. It's like planting a tree. You plant it today, and you'll enjoy the shade decades later. Here's my tip for you. If you're not sure where to start, look into index funds or target date funds. These are great for beginners, and they grow your wealth steadily over time. 5. Living for consumption. Overproduction. Think about this. Money comes into your life when you produce value through work and leaves when you consume or spend. But here's the kicker. Many of us consume more than we produce. It's why the average American holds over $90,000 in debt. Instead of just focusing on consumption, shift your mindset towards production. Start a business, invest, or find ways to increase your earning potential. When you do this, the money equation starts working in your favor. 6. Ignoring financial literacy. Let's face it, personal finance isn't taught in school, but it's one of the most important subjects you'll ever learn. If you don't take the time to understand taxes, investments, or how to manage your money, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of financial stress. In my early 20s, I had no clue about how taxes worked. I remember my first paycheck. It was far less than I expected, and I had no idea why. Fast forward to now, and I understand tax rules so well that I can maximize deductions and keep more of my earnings. Take the time to educate yourself. Start with the basics. Learn about taxes, budgeting, and investing. Trust me, your future self will thank you. 7. Following the crowd. Finally, let's talk about keeping up with the Joneses. In today's world, it's all too easy to fall into the trap of buying things just to look successful. I've seen people making six figures still live paycheck to paycheck because they're spending money to impress others. One of my former coworkers was constantly upgrading. New clothes, the latest tech gadgets, and fancy dinners. On the surface, he seemed rich. But in reality, he was drowning in debt because he was trying to keep up with what everyone else was doing. Spend money on what you value, not what society says you should. If travel brings you joy, save for that. If you love cars, go for it. But do it for you, not for Instagram likes. So what's the ultimate goal? It's financial freedom. This doesn't mean quitting your 9-to-5 and lounging on a beach, unless that's what you want. It means having the power to make choices based on your values, not on financial necessity. It's about creating a life where you aren't just living to pay the bills, but working toward your bigger life goals. If any of this resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your habits. Are they keeping you stuck in the rat race? Start making small changes today. Over time, they'll snowball into significant financial freedom. As always, I'll see you in the next video, where I'll reveal the hidden ways you might be losing money without even realizing it.